So in this video, we're going to talk about the importance of using the Pomodoro technique and how it can help you with your studying. And I will tell you, this is one of my favorite techniques when it comes to studying. And I wish I knew about this much earlier than when I knew about it. So, like, if you're gonna remember one thing from this if you're going to remember one thing from this course, I would say remember two things actually. Learn how to use the Pomodoro technique and learn how to create study packages. But this is one of the most important things I would tell you to practice when you're studying for exams or studying for anything, right? So essentially, Pomodoro technique is a technique that was developed to help you become more productive. And the technique is very simple, but what I would say is very effective. And I wish I knew about this technique lot lot earlier than I knew about it. I wish I would knew about it when I was in high school. But I only got to know about this technique when I was in third year in university. And then it's automatically I decided, what, I'm just gonna study 25 minutes at a time or 20 minutes at a time. And when I was telling people about this, I realized there's a technique known as Pomodoro technique where you do work essentially for 25 minutes or 30 minutes or 40 minutes, or you can do it for 50 minutes if you wish, and basically take a break for about 5 minutes or so. So it's I realized that this technique is super useful if you're getting tired a lot and if you have a hard time focusing. This is a super effective productive technique, not just for work, not just for school, also for work as well, right? So this technique has helped me tremendously actually to master many tasks, many skills as well. So I would highly recommend you implement this technique as soon as possible for your studying if you are not doing it already. If you don't have a problem with studying already or have a similar way to study, I would say use that if it's working for you. But if you don't have a productivity technique or a technique that you can rely upon on how to study to get you focused, I would highly recommend this using this technique. This technique is very easy to understand. It's not very difficult. So what you do is as the first step, you choose a task that you want to complete, right? And you can know what you're going to cover. For example, the way I used to study was, I would say, I'm going to like within the next 25 minutes or within the next half an hour, I'm going to study 15 minutes of lecture video or watch 15 minutes of lecture video. Might happen, might not, but that's what I'm going to do for that 30 minutes, right? Sometimes might need to pause it, write it down to what I learned from it and things like that. So that's what I do in that 30 minutes. And when then 30 minutes up, I relax my mind. I take, go for a quick water break, all right? And then I come back for another 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 25 minutes, whatever you feel comfortable, right? So that's what I do. And then as step three, essentially I'm providing you the steps here. I'm make sure that I do not get distracted from anything else, right? One of the main things I always make sure that until that 30 minutes done, I'm not going to work on anything else, right? And I make sure that is the only thing I'm doing and I do not do anything else. And then in the rest of the and then I take a break for 5 minutes, and then I rest up again, like I said, take a little break, broader break, relax, stretch, do a few push-ups if you want, right? It's a good way to introduce a little bit of physical activity if you need it, but take that 5 minutes away from your desk, right? It could be even 10 minutes, to be honest. You can, depending, like one of the things that I've noticed many students do is that they study for like 40 minutes and take 10-minute break, or 50 minutes and take a 10-minute break. And this is one of the things that will help you. And don't force this is one of the another issue that I see, is that when people started to see this is a very effective technique, they fall in love with this technique and continue to do it as much as they can, right? Because they see the effectiveness, they see the getting result, they started to feel focus. But you need to learn to um, do it as needed and as you feel comfortable. If you're doing it too much, you will burn your body out, you will burn yourself, and you don't want to come back to it to do it again, right? So focus on the first few days doing about maybe one or two or maximum three, and then take a break and come back and do it again this minute, because you will get a lot of things done in doing it this way once you started to get a hold of it. How Once you started to know how it actually works, and once you started to get used to it, and it will give you a lot of results. And one of the things that I started to do is that I started to keep track of how many pomodoros I do. Like I would like write down or make a check mark on one of the sheets that I have. So it kind of shows me how many pomodoros that I'm completing, and it gives me a sense of accomplishment by just seeing how many of them I'm completing and how well I'm progressing. So I've seen that anything that you track, you will make progress on. You will increase the amount that you will do it. So start tracking how many pomodoros you do. It doesn't mean that you need to do like 6 7 8 a day. If you can, that's great, right? But the key thing is like focus on doing it and developing a practice of doing it all the time when you study, right? And then eventually you realize, oh, you don't need the Pomodoro technique, you naturally do it. I get it, but I would say start with it now, and that way you can start to see the effects, and set a timer. You can actually, what I usually do, I actually just use Google, right? I just type like 25 minutes timer, and then I just start working, right? Google, you can quickly do that without any issues, right? So or I can recommend few techniques, or I can recommend few apps that might be useful, but I would say most of the time, if you stick with just doing 25 minutes at a time or 30 minutes at a time and just use Google for that, it will be more than enough for you to get this going with this get this going with this technique and help you study effectively for your exam. So I say start it right away and try it out.